And so, but if you guys are on here with me, and I pray that you are, that you guys can see what I'm doing. And I don't see any comments. So um, I know that I was late, and I hope that you guys will catch the replay. This will be in the group, so you guys can do it when you're able to do it. Okay, so I'm just putting some more white in there really quickly, and I'm just swirling it around because all of this is really going to be covered. As you can see, you don't see very much of the clouds and stuff anyway. So you just want that sort of a background and a backdrop to be able to put your trees and stuff in. Okay, so there's that much. Again, I am so, so sorry that it took me forever to get on. I just have to do something differently, obviously, if I'm going to try to go live. And I don't know what it is, but it's like um, it's like Facebook does not want us to, almost like they don't want us to go live in their do live videos. Even when I do them, like the Technic Tuesdays and stuff, they they keep telling me that they're going to be removing them within 30 days and for me to download them. And so I have. So if they start disappearing, I've got the videos that I could add by links, but what I've been trying to do is just upload them on my channel on YouTube to where I have them. And if we have to, that's how we'll do it. Okay, so we've got that. We've got the sky right here. And what I've done is I went, I've got my big flat brush. I don't even want my big one. I think I'm going to do my small one right here. Now, if you can see in the background, there are more trees. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to sort of push some back there to make it look like, it's a deeper. Um, now, let me tell you all how I paint. Um, I normally never have a plan. And you guys may think, well, yeah, it's been confusing here. I have a plan what I'm trying to teach you guys, but when I go to paint, I sit down at this canvas. I had no clue really what I was going to paint. I wanted to do something fallish, but I did not have a picture. I did not have, you know, in mind exactly what I was going to do. So I just started painting. And so I had put these smaller trees and stuff in and really thought that I was going to leave it that way. But then I thought, well, I'd sort of like to have a path or um, y'all can interpret this any way you want. But I actually sort of did some steps to where you're like stepping up. And I liked not putting anything here because it makes you wonder what's after this. If you get to these steps, then what? What's over there? And I just sort of like the mystery of that sometimes. So, and it could continue on if it was a path. Either way, it could continue on, and you wonder what's behind there. So, what we're going to do are these background trees, and I did them very lightly, and I did white with that. Now, this is a flat brush. And what I like to do, if you guys have been around me, I do what we call um, shading, blending, and highlighting with one stroke. So I'm picking up white here, and I'm going to go into black just with the tip of that. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to work that in. And notice I will still have, I hope you guys can see really well. I'm bringing that up. I could bring that camera down maybe a little bit. but I'm leaving the colors that's like a black and a white. And as I pick that up on each tip, I'm leaving those colors to where you can see there's the black, and then you can still see white, and in the middle is sort of it'll be like a shade. And now this is going to be like longer strokes, and I always recommend, what do I do with it? I always recommend a floating medium. Floating medium is like the fluff in paint. Now we could go into water, but we don't want to take water across this after we just painted it because it would just go back. If it runs, it'll go all the way back to the canvas and it's just not going to be good. But floating medium is the fluff in paint. It's like it's the clear stuff that makes paint thick. And so I use floating medium. And again, it doesn't take very much. That one's a new bottle. Let me see if I got, yeah, I've got these little bottles too. These are probably like $1.47, I think, or something. They're not expensive, but it makes a big difference if you're going to, like when I use, so like I was going to do a bouquet of flowers and you're going to do big stems or long stems, the floating medium will help to cause that brush and that paint just to go a lot further to where you have, and you just have to dip into it and then come over here to your paint. And before I go to my canvas, I'm just going to dip again real quick. Okay. So in this background, and again, if it's too dark, I don't want it very dark. I want, as you can see, I did these almost like a grayish color because I wanted them, again, to be pushed back. And so I'm just going to start right here at the end of this. And I'm just going to start with the black, with the white leading. And I'm just putting some pressure. And then I'm just going to start making lines. And if I want them wider, I just tilt my brush. I just turn it to the side a little bit. Okay. Because this is brighter. Notice how I've got, I know my lighting is probably not the best, but in the center of this, I've got it much lighter. It's like it is very bright or very light. I've got a light here. Let's see if we can do it without leaving a bunch of shadows. But if you want your trees to be wider, you just turn like I started this one on the chisel edge, on an edge, and I just put pressure on there. And as I come up, I just let up on that pressure. Now, if I wanted a wider tree, I turned the brush to the side and again, I'm putting pressure. But as I come up, I'm almost like at that chisel edge again, and I'll go completely off of the canvas with this. Okay. Now I'm coming back here. I'm picking up more white, not necessarily black, because again, I want these to look like they're in the background, and I don't want them to be bold and black because my front ones are going to be that color. Okay. And so I'm just gonna overlap some of these and just turn some of them almost to the side, like they're leaning over. And maybe some of them straight or straighter. Again, this could be wider, like a wider tree. And I'm always coming back here. With every stroke, I'm picking up more paint because it just takes a lot of paint. A lot of people, especially like when they do the flowers and the stuff that I do, some of they get frustrated because they can't make those strokes. And generally, it's just because they don't put enough paint on the brush. It takes a lot of paint to be able to do, some of the designs and stuff that we do. So, and again, I don't like them just all straight. Sometimes I'll go at an angle, to make them look almost gnarly. And let me see. I'm just going to start over here and notice that I'm going to leave. I sort of went to the side, if you notice. I didn't go like, I started maybe directly right in the center, but as I come down, I went more to the side at an angle so that it would I, just not perfectly centered. I want it to look like a random path. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go probably like over here. And I'm going to just start laying some of those in. Make that a little wider. Okay. Well, maybe put one out this way. I don't like them all just facing the same direction because in nature they don't. They don't. I got one there. I think I might. I don't know. I'll just leave that. And let me see. I might put another one. Oh gosh, what is that? Oh my Lord! It's like my battery's trying to die. Oh gosh, I don't even know what that's about. Lord Jesus, help me. Ladies, I'm telling you, the enemy has fought me on this class. Let me see if I can get, hold on just a second. Let me see if I got something I can do differently. Turn that light off. Maybe that'll help. I have no clue why that's doing that. It's plugged in. Almost like it's, can you believe this? Oh my gosh. Ladies, I just don't even know. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me see if I can shut some stuff down. Maybe I've just got too much open or something. Uh, get rid of that. I don't know. Get rid of that. I have some things open. Maybe I just need to get rid of. I'll do that. That's all I see. Lord God, just touch my computer. Pray in the name of Jesus. Mm-mm-mm. I don't know what I done with a paintbrush. What in this world did I do with that paintbrush? Ladies, I'm telling you, I usually have more of my act together than I did today. And I am so, so, so sorry. I've evidently laid down that brush. I have no clue where it's at. Just a second. Let me try. If I put it over here someplace. There it is. I have no clue what the Lord I done with that brush. That is crazy. Oh, well, thank God. There it is. I've got more brushes. That's why I said I don't even know what's going on. It's like my battery's trying to die now on my computer, which is this. unheard of. I don't know what that is all about. But yeah, it's liable to die. And if it does, I'll just have to finish this. Ladies, I am so, so sorry. Oh my gosh. Maybe one of y'all really, really wanted to paint this paint this painting and the enemy's fighting. I don't know. So we'll just keep on until it does. It looks to me like it might. And if it does, then I am so, so sorry. I have no clue why it would do that. I don't have anything else. I usually have another monitor, different things um, put on. Maybe if I don't know if you guys can hear me if I actually took that speakers out. Okay, I'm just going to continue. We're just going to continue making trees. Be like Bob Ross, make happy little trees here. Okay, we're going to go up over top of this. Okay. I don't see anybody with me or any comments, so I hope that you guys are. This one here looks a little wonky. I'm going to go back over it. Okay, now I'm going to just do some lens here in the back. And you do that with it's easier. Like you don't, like I got a lot of paint in that brush. I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to go over top of that and just pull that paint right out. I'm not going to go into water. I'm just going to go right here now and go right back and just tip those corners. And I'm just going to get that sharp chisel edge on that. When I say sharp, I want you to see how flat that is. Okay. And so I'm just going to start like putting in some branches, and it's a light touch. Let me show you how I do it, how I'm doing it though. It's like I'm standing that brush straight up and I'm leading with the white and I'm just taking that, I'm just barely putting pressure on that brush and just sort of letting it drag. And then I can just, now, however much pressure, I know it's hard to see right there. Let me do it darker so you can see what I'm doing. I'll just do it a lot darker. Like I'm just barely touching that and just sort of dragging those bristles along like that. The more pressure you put on this brush, the wider or the fatter that's going to be. Okay. So if you want a big limb to go across, you just put a lot more pressure. But if you just want to branch off of that limb, it's less pressure. So I hope that, so, and what I'm going to do is I'm just sort of start laying some of that in there. This is also where the medium comes in handy. Again, just because it just makes that go a lot smoother. And I'm just going to start right. And sometimes the best way, just think of Y's. I mean, the letters Y, and it helps you to know sort of the angle that you might want your branches to go in. And again, this is going to be in the background, so you're not going to see a whole lot of these. But we just want, I'm going to bring some of them over even, just in case they are shown. You want it to look legit. You want it to look, and I'm going off the canvas with some of that. Like this one right here is right in the middle, or right where you can see it. So I just want it to, okay. Let's go right here. Make it a bigger one right there. And you can see I'm making them a lot darker, and I don't really want to because okay, I'm just putting some out there. Yeah, it doesn't have to be very many because you're not really going to see a whole lot of these. But you just want them to look like trees in the background. You want them to go off the canvas if you can. Okay. So that's basically it to begin with. And then um, now, if you wanted to make this to look really, really foggy, you would use a hair dryer and you would dry this. Okay. And then you would just go, just like we started with the white and the blue, you could do that very light, almost like you're just barely putting white paint on a brush. And and even this medium sometimes is good to do that with. You could go right over top of this and make it look really, really foggy. And like this has got, that's too wet. But you would use a dry brush for that. You wouldn't use a wet brush. And what I'm going to do, I'll just demonstrate. Like I said, I mean, some of it, see, you can see I just smeared that. So you wouldn't want to do that if they were wet. I mean, if your paint was wet. So I'm not going to do that because I just don't want to ruin that. The way I did my clouds, it makes it look like they're like sort of darkish. So I'm just going to quit there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is that I am going to just put in some foliage down here. Again, I'm going to use one of the brushes here. And I used, like I said, ladies, if this, I pray God that my my battery doesn't go dead on me because it looks like it's gotten really low. But I'm using a darker green or a light green and a dark green, almost like a forest green. And this is called citrus. But if you don't have a citrus, you could add a little bit of yellow and green together. No, that would make blue. A little bit of green and white to lighten it up. So I'm just going to put just a little, like I've used quite a bit of this. So I'm going to put um, probably about I don't know, about the size of a quarter. If you need more, you can always put more out, but you just don't want to. I'm always trying to be thoughtful when it comes to y'all buying paint. And usually the colors that I have you to get are what we used every time. It's not like I'm having you to buy a bunch of different colors every week or every month. When I actually taught at Michael's, they didn't really like me over that because they wanted me to just sell product. And I didn't. I felt like the basic colors that you bought, was all you needed. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going into dark green and the light green. And I might even, I'm going to put a row of this here. And all I'm doing, look, I've got that all loaded. And I love these brushes because I'm really going to pounce that in there. And I'm really just going up and down. And I'm just doing some foliage here. Okay. And we'll go so far. And then I'm going to go on the other side. Okay. Really just like covering up the roots of those trees or the tops of the trunks or bottoms of the trunks, I guess you'd say. Okay. And you want that to be that airy, nothing even on there. You want it to look like it's legit, like foliage. And okay, we could do a few of it, little pounces up to here. But again, these are in the distance. We don't want a lot at all. Okay. Okay. And so I'm going to actually, now I don't go into water a lot. Sometimes on these, I don't have to go into water. I can just, although it does hold a lot of paint. But what I'm going to do next is to sort of like map out where I want this could be again your path or whatever you want it to be. I'm going to do I'm just going to sort of map that out where I know where I want the rest of my trees and stuff like that. And again, I'm not going to clean this brush. I'm just going to go right into brown with it. I've really wiped it off, all that green. And that is a dark brown. And I also want, you can either mix a lighter brown or you can just, I have a lighter brown that let's see if I can get it open. This is called coffee latte. Uh, but any kind of tan, I have a better, it's called a caramel would work. I'm just going to go along beside that. And I'm just sort of pouncing that in there. Okay. Now, now you could do this with a flat brush if you feel better to do it that way. Might have been better just because you want some, on steps and stuff, you want some flat edges. I might just do that. And in the meantime, I'm doing a very light touch. I'm just going to get rid of some of this paint I just put on there and go right over top of any of this. And you can just, you can come down here because there's every color in the world here. I'm just going to touch some of that. Just touch some of it here and there. Again, this is all going to be foliage. It's all covered up in different colors. And you could go all the way down. Just again, I did this just so that I can empty my brush. Now, you guys don't have to do that. I'm going to get rid of that brush as a matter of fact. And look, I got my big flat brush. Just like I've done the trees, the flat brush, I'm going to dip it in two different colors, which is two different browns. And I'm going to go right over here. And look, if you notice, I'm just barely dipping the dark brown. I don't have a lot of dark brown in that. And I'm just making that sharp chisel edge on that brush. Notice? And look, it is two colors. I didn't blend them. And that's how you get your blending and shading when you go to do your strokes, because I did not mix them together. I kept them. How you do that is that you're just putting a lot of pressure on that brush. I'm going right in between those two puddles of paint, and it gives you the two tones. Now, what I'm going to do is go right here where I want to start that. Again, I mean, we notice I went Notice it's a small line and it keeps getting bigger as you go down. Okay. So this would be a very small line here. And again, I wanted it off to the side. So I'm just going to go maybe like that. Maybe even a little bit more, like another one there. And look, I'm just gonna map out my path. And it's a very right now it's just a light touch because I want to know where my path is going to go. My path or my steps, whatever you all want them to be. Okay. And then I'm just going to keep coming over here until I get that sort of filled in the way I want it. And then of course it's always bigger down here on the ends because you're showing that it's getting smaller as it goes forward. And so maybe right in here we'll do a little bit bigger. But down here at the bottom, we want it really large. Okay. Now that I got that in there, I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to go ahead and just, since I got my paint brush loaded there. And right now, I'm just going to stand that up. And right where I got this, now I want to do, I think like I did this, I did mine sort of to make it look like steps. Okay. You don't have to do that. You could color this all in and just put like lines or different highlights and stuff in there to make a path. Now I'm going to just go here and I might just again, this is supposed to be really small through here, and then it keeps getting a little bit longer. So right where, and I'm not going straight in a row either. And then down here at the bottom, I've got one. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that lighter color and I'm going to go right underneath that. And it's a light touch. I'm just doing a light, very light touch. I'm just sort of filling that in underneath where that dark line was. And if it looks off, then we'll just add another dark line if we have to. And that's what I done. I didn't, like I said, I didn't start off doing steps. I didn't think I was going to. I did a path. And whatever you want it to be, it could still look like a path. It doesn't necessarily look like steps unless you imagine it to be steps. And it's just the highlights really that made the difference. So again, I'm picking up that light paint. I'm going right in here where I've done the dark in between them. Okay. And then if I feel like I need another dark, like there was one here, let me see, or maybe lighter here. I don't see any comments. So I am so sorry, ladies, if you guys just got frustrated with me trying to do what I was doing. And like I said, I pray that my battery's not going to die now. I'm just taking another swath through here. I'm going completely off the canvas right here. Okay. And I just kept coming through here. Now, up here at the very top, I even did lighter, and I'm coming over here just on the same brush where the light color, like the light brown was. I'm picking up white, and right in here, I'm just going to start putting in little white lines because, of course, that's where our highlight's going to be. So that pick up some more of the brown. So I'm going to go right back over top of this. I just want those to be. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just leaving gaps in between the light and the dark. And just by doing that, sometimes it just gives the illusion, like when you go up there, that it could be steps. But if you don't want it to be steps, it could just be a path. So again, it's totally up to you. So because I did that, I went and I put them darker this time. I'm gonna go one more time. I know I'm so late with this class, guys, and I'm so sorry. And this is I mean, I'm just going to take my time. If um, my battery holds out, and if it doesn't, I'll finish it when it charges back up. I'm just going right there in between again with that lighter color. Okay. And I know this is all jaggedy, but we're going to cover all that up. You ain't ever going to see it. You never see it. I might do this one more little light spot there. Okay. So I don't know if you can see all of that and what it looks like. But as you can see, it's like a sort of a broad light, and then it's got a dark place, a dark line. Broad, but by doing that, it's making it look like it's going up, and you're making them smaller as you go to the center of your or where you want to start. Okay. So I'm going to just get rid of this paint on my brush. I'm just going to clean my brush real quick. And then I realize I've got more brushes than you guys, I'm sure, when it comes to these mop brushes. But for time's sake, I just brought more brushes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right in there with the two greens again, especially like right in here. And I'm doing a very light touch. I want this to be very, I'm actually going to start coming down with it. And I'm angling that. And I'm actually covering up some of those steps. As I come down, I'm going to get darker and darker. Okay. And I'm angling that again as I go. I'm going right over top of those on the side so that you don't see all that jagged edge and it looks like there's things that have grew up. And I'm trying not to make it straight because I don't want it straight. I want it leaning over on some of it and to make it really look like it's grown over top of those steps. Of course, it gets darker toward the bottom because it's closer to us. Okay. It's also noticed that how tiny it is here, but it gets wider down here because again, it's closer and you're creating that perspective like it's literally going away from you. Now, because I've got this loaded, I'm just going to go right over top of all this. I'm just going to get rid of this. And I'm just going to just pounce all of this green all on my brush. Okay. And just let it come right up there and meet with that. And I'm not doing a dark green here because again, if you remember, I've got all of this covered up in yellows and oranges and reds and browns. And we still have not put our big trees in yet. So I'm just trying to get rid of, I'm just trying to cover it really quick. Just again, I'm just barely, and I don't even have to, I could actually just blend this in if I wanted to, just to cover it. So, ah, don't like that. Too much, too much. You get too much, you just sort of try to pounce it out of there. Okay. To the sides. I think I liked it. Yeah, a little light through here, maybe. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that brush. Now, I won't be done with it. Uh, I won't be done with these, so they need to definitely be dried out. So what I do when I go into water like that, I just take my paper towel, and the best way to like really save the bristles and stuff on this, I don't know if y'all can see what I'm doing, but I like to just take a paper towel and I put my finger there and I just really press out that water. Okay. And then I just try to fluff it back up. One more in the water. And I usually try to drain it out of there too before I even put it on my paper towel. So, okay. Just Okay, I'll just leave that. Now, we're going to do our larger trees. Now that I've got some foreground in here. And this time, where I done them like a grayish color here, this time I'm definitely doing more black. And I'm going to put out just a little bit more black, actually. Doing more black. And I'm also still doing white. But I've really done more, again, I want this to look more black. And even almost my white. Now I'm sort of mashing that brush down to where it's sort of making a gray right there. Okay. I'm really just packing that in there because I'm going to go over here to my floating medium, go right in top of that, and then we're going to start laying in our bigger trees. Okay. I always like to start on the sides. You don't have to, but I like to. That way I can build it out as I go. And I didn't like come all the way down here. I could have put a big old tree, a massive tree right in the middle of here. You guys, that's totally up to you, you know. But I sort of, again, I wanted those angles. I wanted those, um, I just didn't want everything looking like it was just perfectly even. And so I didn't do it that way. But you guys are welcome to do it that way if that's how you choose to paint it. Okay, so I'm going to start again. Now this is going to be darker, um, but it don't necessarily have to be the darkest. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here and I'm just gonna mix up sort of a grayish color on this paintbrush. It's not quite the jet black; it's more of a gray. And because where this starts off, I'm going to just come over here off the canvas. I like going off the canvas and I'm just going to start laying in a little bit more trees. And this time they could be just a little fatter and they could be just, I don't just line them straight up like I did these. Um, these are sort of random. And sometimes I angle them. Sometimes, again, I don't. It just depends. Because in the forest, you don't see perfectly lined little trees. They're all different directions. So I want that to look that same way. And I'm covering up some of the ones that I've already painted again to make it look like that they're pushed back. I might go right here where this one is at and make just like another branch right through there. Okay. Do the same thing here. Again, I'm trying to make these just a little lighter or a little darker really than those are, just to get that um, sort of like a perspective to make it look like it's like they're just in the distance. And because of that, they're not nearly as pronounced as the ones that are going to be here in the front. Okay. Okay. And while I've got them in there, again, I'm going to lay in some branches. Now, if this big brush is like, again, you choose what you like to do and what brushes you like to use. If the smaller flat brush is easier for you, then you're welcome to use that one. Once you start painting, you'll find out what's comfortable for you, and that's what you'll paint with. And, there's no set rule. I just feel like, especially for the longer strokes, the flat brushes are, or anytime you want something that's, like I could have just went all the way across here with one line to make it straight. Then, like when we do a ocean scene, for instance, the horizon, which ladies who have painted with me know that I don't do straight lines very well. And so, but these big flat brushes or a flat brush helps you to be able to get those straight lines. So I'm just going to put in a few branches here and there. Okay, not a whole lot. I'll just actually bring that one all the way up. And I'm not making them like really dark. Again, these are still trees that are in the background. So we just did. Okay. And just one more right through here. Okay. Make it just a little darker right through there. Again, just making little limbs, little branches. Okay. Now, time for our big ones. But what I like to do, like in between those trees, I like to put in some more greenery. Maybe it could be like the light brown. I'm gonna pounce over here and like maybe just again a light touch here. But just cover up some of the roots, make it look like they're grounded in that, like they've been there for a while. They're not just. And we're just like going right over top of those roots or the trunks where we put that in. I have to bring some of it out here too, just so that it's not just something that looks like you just slapped it on there. Okay. Maybe even come down a little bit. Now, I'm not going to get rid of that yet because I'm needing it. Now, it's time for us to get our big trees in there. And again, it's the same strokes. It's just that this time you're really going to put pressure on that brush. And as you can see, like I took the whole width of that brush, especially on that one. On these, I started just like I did those others with a light touch, but then I just straightened it up and then I got on the chisel edge. Okay. And so we shall see. I think I'm going to do, I did that. Let me see. Let's see if I can do this without messing up. I want this one to look just a little lighter. I think I want this one to look a little lighter too, just because that's where the brightest part of, I didn't highlight any of these either. We can do that just by basically just scooting that white that's on my brush, just doing little dibs and dabs right in the front of that to make it look like they're a little bit highlighted back there. Okay. Now, here we go. Now, I had done, like I said, I wished I could just have this displayed where you all could see it, but I realize you can't. But I started over here at the side, and this is really, it almost looks like one big massive tree. I did probably 2 strokes and just brought that right over top of that. And yeah, some back here that makes it look like they're larger. Okay. So I'm going to put this one in first, and I'm going to bring it down quite a bit. And it's a lot of pressure. I'm just trying to do it at a side where you can see it's quite a bit of pressure. And again, I angled mine just because I want it to go sort of toward the light. And I sort of like this to where the way that I done this one, I might actually go right over here and do one off of the canvas. Okay. But I think I'm going to bring this up to make it a little wider, maybe go all the way off the canvas with that. Again, this paint is very thick, but the floating medium helps me to make those long strokes. Okay. So I just highly recommend that use floating medium instead of water. Now, if you have, if your paint doesn't want to glide like mine is, then you may have to use a little bit of water maybe to thin it down. But you really don't really want to do that if you can get out of it. Now, right over here to the side, I actually basically right almost at the root of where this one was. That's where I did the big massive tree. And I really put pressure on that brush. And as I'm coming up, I'm turning it and I'm putting it on that chisel edge. So, and then I did almost like another. My paintings never look alike, people. Like I said, I was just like, um, I was sort of just like in creative mode doing this one. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to just take this one all the way off the canvas. So I've got what I'm going to do to make it look like that's a different, like a different thing is I'm going to put a highlight on that. It's just like a forked root tree there. I'm always coming back, picking up more paint. So I'm going to go right here. Like to me, I feel like I've got enough roots here. I might go all the way up here. And then I'm going to just really bring that all the way again. All the way. I'm going to do that pretty light. And then I'm just going to, I don't like how this looks. It looks too choppy. It doesn't look like a root. So I'm going to do, or like just going to work that out. And again, all this gets covered up. But yeah. And I'm not happy with this. Just got to clean it up some. Through here and putting some more black on there, more white, more highlights. Okay, now on this side I've done the same thing, only I just did not do them nearly as big. I come or as far down. And so because of that, I didn't make them as big either because I want, again, the perspective to make it look like they're further away, but yet they're bigger. They're in front of all these others. Okay. Bring that lamb all the way over. I'm going to take that off the canvas and look on, maybe shoot one up that way. Again, you can make your trees any way you want to make them. Make it just a little bit larger. Okay, and then I did this. I did a bigger one right, almost right here to, I do it down further. Again, when I paint, I don't necessarily do it to where I think, okay, I'm going to teach this. Maybe, maybe I need to think them through a little bit more. I just shared this and I had a lot of comments. So I thought, well, I'll just use it and do a class with it to see if you guys would want to do it. I'm going to go right over top of this and bring this one all the way over. So I don't like that being that bright. Again, you guys can make your trees any way you want to make them. Bring this one down just a little bit. Mm. Down further. I think I'm done with that. Just don't like these. I don't like it when they're that stumpy. I like it when it looks like a root. Like, let's see, like at an angle, like that. Like those are okay because they're at an angle. Like, okay. And then now we're just going to do our branches. Again, if doing the branches, for you all to keep that uh, keep those branches like really really thin. It's a very, very light touch. Put some of it. And if the smaller flat brush is easier for you to do that with, then that's the one I would be using. Because this is a very, very light touch to get those branches. I may just get rid of mine too and do it with the smaller brush so that you all can see the difference. And again, I'm just cleaning my small flat brush. I'm going into black and just a little bit of white like we did before. And so I'm actually going to put, well, I've got that right now. We're doing branches. Like I said, I'm used to creating, not necessarily thinking I'm teaching here. I was going to go ahead and put some highlights and stuff on this, which I will. But yeah, we just want, this is a very, very light touch. We just, we're just putting branches and we want to overlap them. Just, in order to get that stroke, again, you've got to have that chisel edge. Notice, I don't know if you guys can notice how I did that or not. And this is when you'll know whether or not you got the chisel edge. And maybe you didn't even notice any of this right here, which is harder to see. But it sort of gets sort of fuzzy looking and sort of wide and spread, which again, right on the limbs, it's not going to make a difference. Just because, I mean, in the foreground, it's not because we're going to cover it up. But if it's something that you just did just one tree, then it's definitely going to, be shown, be seen. I think I'm going to go right here and make. Okay, so again, I'm just going to start laying in a bunch of branches on here. Little, little ones and bigger ones. Same way over here. Okay. Get that sharp chisel edge. And I'm picking up black and white. Something too, like to really get, um, like to get a perspective, like these are really pushed back. If I would have done it, like I said, if these, they almost look like they were almost a blue. But also, like I said, I had basically wanted that to look like fog. So I had plenty of time to like go over top of that, but they look like they're blue. And so it added to the tech, it added to this and that made it look like they were pushed back a lot further. And by going just lighter, keep going darker as you come toward them, toward the ones that are viewing it, it gives that it helps to give that perspective that those were in the foreground. And see, I sort of covered them all up, and so even that you could just like left some maybe lighter to where you could definitely have seen them. But yet, if they're lighter like that, that means that they are in the background. Okay. Now, on some of this right through here, I'm going to start picking up some white, and I'm just going to go right down the trunks of these trees, especially here. I'm just going to start laying in a few white lines to make it look like that it's good and highlighted. Because obviously right through here is our path. And I need to get some more stuff through here because I got too much right here. Maybe I need another, um, a smaller tree there. I think I'm going to put one there. Again, I'm going to sort of push it in the background. I'm going to just go right over top of it. Let's see, right through here. It just needs another tree. Got more of a grayish. Over top of it's okay. And go right back over top. I just didn't like that. I didn't like how that's again, girl. I never paint. I can't never paint it exactly the same way. I just don't. I mean, because that's like I said, when I paint, I don't necessarily think, okay, I'm going to teach this. And so I need to do a step by step. Now, depending on what it is, if it's a flower or something, I'm more so able to do it that way because, there's techniques that I know that I paint flowers with. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things. I'm going to go right back over top of this. All right, back over top. Push that right back there. Right here. Right there. And I'll put another big lamb right here. Yeah, it's a very, very light touch to get those limbs in there. This is what took longer than anything, ladies. It's just getting all these branches and stuff in these trees. But again, it's up to you. It could have just been a few branches. Like I said, right on here, I'm gonna put some more white in here, right up here, maybe right on here. Like almost like right in the front or right on top of these branches, just for highlight. Okay. Well, praise God. It looks like my battery. I had to turn off my light. I had a light here, and evidently it was just running that battery down. But it looks like my battery is actually charging back up. So thank you, Jesus. And I know, ladies, I probably went well over 2 hours and everything else. You can always speed this up when you decide to go watch it if you think you need to go faster on it. Okay, just few more branches. I have some back here on these trees. Okay. Like I said, I really want a bunch of those to go right on off the canvas. Okay. Hmm. Now, sometimes you just have to come, if you've got way too much paint on your brush, just come, don't go into water, but just come and get a paper towel and just, again, just squeeze that out of there. I got, I picked up some white right here, and because of that, it just, although I've been picking up white, but I've just been mixing it in. It's not just been a white. Okay. These are just a little bit too light. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to highlight that big tree a little bit more. I just don't care for how it's looking. Like I said, I usually don't like, which all this is going to be covered up. I know. Right here in the middle, where that's sort of veered off. I need to, I just put like a black line through there. Using my paintbrush or my white over there. I just want that right in there where it's sort of forked. I want it to look dark. Okay. On the back side of that. Okay. What I did here, I just don't like. So what I'm gonna do, ladies, I always tell you that painting, if there's something that you don't like, you can always fix it. And I don't like this, so I'm going to go completely off the canvas with this tree. Okay, let's go straight back up, just level him off. Because I did on the first one, I went completely off the canvas. I didn't like how that was just sort of jutted out there. Okay, okay. So now that we're done with our trees, now that this is pretty well dry, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come just in that um, light brown now, and I'm going to go right back over top of this where this light brown is. Cover all of that, which I'm wanting some of that white in there, but I'll put it in there as a highlight when I'm done. Okay. To make them look like they were literally all the way through there. And then I'll just take water, excuse me, white. Lord Jesus, don't take water. I'm just going to go right, very, very light touch. And just occasionally. More up here than down here. Okay, get rid of that. See, I don't like that. I did all that white because it makes it look closer. We don't want it to look closer. Although we can do the dark and the darker to make it look darker. A sharp chisel edge, so it'll make a mess. Sorry, my son has come home and the dog was like, oh, someone just opened the door. It's okay. That thing there needs to be middle. Okay. We don't have. There needs to be middle. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, sorry, it kicked on. We don't have. There needs to be middle. Uh-oh. Okay. I don't even know what kicked that on. Okay, now we're going to go back into one of our mop brushes. It's made to finish this painting, ladies. Now, I want orange, whatever colors that you want as fall colors. You just have at it. I have orange. If you don't have an orange and you want orange, red and yellow. I don't know what one was my yellow. See, yellow. There's my other. This is my bright yellow. I have to go get some. I can make some maybe. But I just had I didn't bring my bright yellow in here. And this citrus green that I used, I sort of like it. So I'm going to put some more of that in here. Okay. And but yeah, I definitely would like to have a bright yellow. What I'll do though is I'm gonna start laying all these colors in there first. Now I have my orange, my yellow, or my orange, my white, this is a yellow ochre, but I want a brighter yellow. Um, that as you can see, I've got bright yellow through here. I've got orange, I've got like a brown. I just sort of mixed every color. I even mixed like some of the red. I do have red. I mixed it with a little bit of white and did some pink. And I have two different colors of red, whichever one you like. This is called a berry wine. So it's a darker red. And then, of course, this is like I think this is magenta. It's sort of a pinkish red to begin with, but yeah, I like all of those. And so here we go. Um, So what I like to do is I usually started out um, with the bright colors first, and then or we could do, I don't know. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go into some of this the light color, which was the coffee latte, and this is not going to be a lot. I don't want to get. I have to wipe that off. I got some black in on there. Here, I'll just get in that one. I'm gonna go right in there to that. And this is going to be a very light touch. I'm just going right over that, just like I did that green, but I'm just adding just a little bit of brown in that so that it looks almost like a rust color. Like some of them have already turned pretty much. And this is right now, it's just a light touch. And actually, it stays that way until we get down here. And then I really pound. I'm going to pound some of that in here as well. Pounce, 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 especially around these roots. I like to just pounce them in there. Right? That's still wet, so you may not want to do that yet. Now, from there, I'm going to just pick up. I think I'll go with the red, and I didn't clean this out. You can if you got a lot of like if you had a lot of dark in there. Okay, so we're just going to tap in some red, and you want that pretty bold. So you're just going to get, look how much I got. I just put it on like the corner of my brush, and I'm just tapping, tapping, and you want to come all the way down with it because it. Now I put quite a bit up here at the top on some of it. I'm sorry, you can hear my ice machine kicking in. Picked up that black. That is not good. Again, if you guys got a hair dryer, sometimes that's good. Having a Put a baby mine around right now. Now I'm gonna while you guys do that real quick, I'm gonna go get me some bright yellow. Okay. I've got some bright yellow here, and I really need a new. Okay, so we know yellow and yellow and red make um, orange, and we've got orange. So I'm just going to try to get some more of this red paint out of here. I even put some of that. Look, I put some of it down here too, just because we want all of this in here to look like there are leaves and just leaves that have fallen on both sides. We want them to come down here too. So, okay. I'm gonna get rid of that one. Now, I'm gonna go in here um, with some more of this citrus green, and I'm just gonna tap. Again, I'm gonna tap some more in here because it's not really covered good. And I wouldn't have to tap. I could just give it like a real smooth little stroke. But when you tap it, you want some of that white in there. Okay. I'm just going to go right up here and do some green in these trees too. Okay. I'm just going to get a paper towel and wipe that out. And then we'll go right into my yellow ochre. I went into blue. So, well, yellow and blue make green. That's not a bad thing, but I don't want it green. I might have to just get rid of that one. I got another one here. Okay. So, yellow ochre is basically, it's just I don't know, it's not a mustard yellow. It's not bright yellow. It's got uh, just a sort of a dull color to it. But it's really good to to highlight the brighter yellows with. That's way too much. I don't like that at all. So this is a big old fat brush. Don't take much. I might have to clean my other brush because I'm not liking this. The ladies who always take my lessons, I will just get rid of that brush because that is not good. But I always tell them, I said, well, one thing about it, here's a clean one I have never used. I said, one thing about it, you've learned how to correct mistakes because I make them all the time. But are they mistakes? Because you can actually turn most of it around. And so, because of that, I always tell them uh, wasn't it Bob Ross said, oh, we didn't make a mistake. It was just a happy little accident. And so, putting some yellow in here, some of this yellow ochre. Also, too, I really need to, this really needs to probably be a lot more than what I got right here with the green. Okay, so I'm going to go into just, I've got, I'm going to go into bright yellow. And again, this is a light touch. I actually should have, I want to go into some of the darker yellow here. And I didn't do that a whole lot. Yeah. We want it to come down off of some of these limbs here. Uh, to make it look like, well, it wasn't just the tops of the tree. So it's like I'm sort of twisting it. I've got this darker yellow on one side, and then I got the lighter yellow on another. So I'm doing the darker yellow, and I'm just sort of coming right through and highlighting that with the bright yellow. And it just gives you like it's a shadow underneath some of them. And do that over here too. The, especially right in here where I've done all that. Again, we can make this as bright or muted as you want to. I started out with that other one really foggy, so I didn't like. I mean, I put bright colors in there. It's the same colors I'm using here, but depending on how you blend them, it just gives a different tone and a different texture to everything. Okay, now I'm gonna go right into my orange, and I'm not even cleaning that brush. I'm just gonna go right into my orange. And I'm just tapping, just wherever you want to tap randomly. I'm not just, I even like to go into a little bit of water or white. I keep saying water, I meant white with that orange. I just think it just gives, especially through here, I want to go into some, like make it a lot brighter because of course that's where our light source is. So I just tapped into some white there. Also too, right in here. These could just look sort of like leaves or whatever we want them to be. They could be wildflowers for all we know. Whatever we want it to be, that's what we want it to be. Again, I just sort of laid all these in here to make them look like they've all fallen. There's just been a bunch of them that fell. Now, I've pretty well made our trees look like they've exploded. I still want to bring some down here because to me it's just not, like on this side especially, it's just not enough. If I have to, I'll put another branch or something in there. I just want it to come down some. Again, I like to go into white with that just to lighten it up. And we'll get rid of that. Yes, ladies, I'm way, way over, which I don't even really know what time I got on here because of everything that did that again. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, we'll go into that. I want to go into that light green and that dark green again real quick. And right through here, I just want this to be, I just want this to be a little bit thicker through here, especially right here in front. Uh, on this side specifically, it's going to be a little fatter down here, but as you go up to the top, it gets thinner and thinner. And I should have done that more so, but the more perspective is from this side. I'm just going to wipe that off really quick as best as I can. I have a trash can or a trash bag I keep all the time here. And I've just made a mess with this today. Ladies, we're getting there. Just a minute. We'll be getting some, like really making this pop a lot brighter because it's just like right now it's a mess. Again, we need some white, white, white. Okay. And I'm going to go directly into white. And then I'm going to go into that orange again. And just touching that. And everything right now just seems like it's getting way too dark on us. So I'm going to this bright yellow right over top of some of that white I just put in. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to I just didn't particularly care for some of this. I just didn't want it to be dark. Okay. Uh, doing some more of that orange, bright orange with the white. Okay. Every color I'm putting up here, I'm bringing down here, I'm putting in here. Some up to here. Some. Okay. Now, I'm gonna let some of that dry, just see how I like it. I sort of want that to come down a little bit further though. I just do. Now, what I've done here, what I've done right to here is that I um, took like a that small flat brush and I just sort of made it look like um, I'm not going to lay that over. I'm not going to lay that in water right this second just because it's the last one I got. But now I just come over here with the green and I just sort of made it almost like it was stems all the way through here. And it's just a small, it's like you're just barely touching it. Let's see if I can show you how. I know my palette's pretty nasty, but again, I'm just flicking it I'm putting pressure at the bottom and then just flicking it. And as I do that, it makes like little, and my, I got like that light green and white on my brush. And I'm just flicking it through there to make it look like it's grasses or whatever. Actually stems, because I did put some flowers on them. I'm doing those on both sides here. Now to the top, we could actually put some, I can make it a little darker because it's the distance. And to the top, or to the, okay, and I think I did, yeah, I did. I did them here too. Now I don't have enough leaves in here. I could definitely tell you that. So just go ahead and put these in here real quick. And you just want to get that sharp chisel edge, because if you don't, it's not gonna make those strokes to make it look like they're little stems. As you can see, I'm not taking a lot of pain with this. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna come down here. I'm gonna start filling some more of this in right here because I had a lot of color. I had a lot of color in there. A lot of rust browns and oranges and reds. And so I just want to make for sure that we get them in there. Okay. Now, but since I've got this brush loaded or in my hands, I'm gonna just pick up. I just did like yellow and white, just like little dip of each, and I started just barely touching, going all the way down the stems. Um, Too much white. Let's see. I just made it like a almost like it was just like some kind of flowers, and it's just a touch. It's no look. I'm not trying to design anything. Let me see if you guys can see where I'm at. I'm just going down those stems I made. I'm just barely touching them, going back and forth across there. And as I get farther away, there's it's just less. You just don't want to see a lot of them. And it's the same way here. Um, Again, because of the perspective, it's a little bit further away. And it could be mixed, like white. I'm just putting little dabs and stuff in there. To make it look like it could be flowers, or I don't know. Use your imagination. Use your imagination. And that crazy SpongeBob, the kids have always watched SpongeBob. Imagination, he used to say. Okay, so I hope y'all can see that. And since I got this on there, again, I'm going to just put in the same thing, just like put some of those little stems. It almost looks like I have to put some white in order for that to even show up. All around the bottom here, I did the same thing. A few little stems. almost like it doesn't want to. I think my paint is drying out. Bless y'all's heart. I've kept you on here forever. I promise you, I think just trying to get on and everything, this sort of throws me off a little bit, but okay. Now we're just gonna tap, tap, tap on this too. We got the bright yellow and the white. That could be either way. Best thing to do is just come through and tap all with white and then go right back over top of it with the yellow. Okay. But because they're closer, it should be just a little bit larger. Again, just little dibs and dabs and touches. And okay. Now I've got that brown and yellow. I'm going to just go right in top of there. Just going to sort of mix up some. And look, I'm just going to touch right here. I've got my brush already like loaded down with every color. I'm just going to do some little dibs and dabs through here too. I'm just turning it, twisting it, touching, hitting it. And like right through here, up on the top of that big old tree trunk. We want some kind of growth up there. Okay, that. I'll pick this brush back up again. Okay, we're going to just start going right over top of that we just did. Okay, that was with the yellow ochre. And just randomly putting it on there. And we'll go right into, I'm going to do the bright yellow now. When it seems like there's big blobs, I like to turn that to where there's no paint like on there. Like if I do a big blob there, just turn it and then work it in with the other ones that doesn't have a whole lot of paint on it. Okay. Now, there's one last color I put on here, and I think it did help to lighten that painting up. See if I can get this dried off of here. I still think we need some more highlights on this. Okay, so this is what really made this paint. I felt like it really lightened that painting up. So I did white and red. Of course, you know, it makes like a pinkish color. And right, uh, I I went right over top of it. No, that's too dark. That's too pinkish. I don't want pinkish. I want more. It's like more of a. I mean, it was pink, but it's a light color pink, not a dark. Wasn't a dark pink. To me, it just really lit things up. By the way, in the springtime, Y'all could do that. Now, right over where that pink is, I'm going over with the darker reds. In the springtime, though, that pink, if you did these trees, that could be like, um, what are they? The beautiful red buds, or um, would be those different kinds of just spring trees. Okay, I'm going to do some out here too. Again, I'm just turning it. I'll turn some, especially here as it. Pick up some of that orange. And notice, guys, I'm going right over top of everything because you don't want them just looking like they've laid in there in layers or like it's straight lines. You look like you want it to look like they've all fell on top of each other and are just sort of a mess after this, pretty much. And look, I also come right down here. Uh-oh, I picked up some black. That wasn't good. That wasn't good. And I picked up some black there. Okay. So before I mess up, I'm gonna pick up from brown and I'm gonna go over top of that. I don't know how I done that. Just uh, as I said, if you watch me, I tell people it's just paint. I mean, if you if you messed it up horribly, you can let it dry and usually always paint over it. You know, you can paint it the whole canvas over. I've done that before. If I just didn't like what I painted, I don't like that. Put them sort of up on the sides there, makes it look like there was something growing there. A few more. Just a little bit more white up here. Maybe even right here, just a little bit of white. Right here where the light is shining to there for highlights. Okay, ladies, I hope you guys enjoyed this however long lesson this was. Like I said, it's normally never this long. Just keep picking up that black. I'm about determined I'm going to mess this up. Let's pick up some of that white. So just a little bit more white in there, just a little bit more light. And one last little swipe. right in here. Again, just to make it just a little bit lighter through here. Okay. All right, ladies. If we do this, I hope you'll enjoy it. And I promise you, I promise you that these lessons normally never ever take this long. What you want to do, you want to make for sure, like I got a script liner here, and I go into water, and I'm gonna go right here in this black inky puddle or whatever color you want to do your name with. And with the script liner, you go in, you make an inky puddle, you go to water. That's the only time I go into water generally. And you go to the side of a puddle of paint, and then when you come out, you roll that in your fingers to make that sharp edge. And then you come over here and you sign your painting. There we go. There we go, sweet ladies. If you've been with me, I appreciate it. Thank you.